Hey, just doing a little video to help a few people understand what I've been up to for the last half year, because the idea was to write a front end where we could tell the stories that, of course, the system or the people that really manage the hero's journey, obsessed with making sure everything follows a hero's journey. I don't have to say the name, but it's fairly obvious that the stories are micromanaged, and so this kind of a storytelling is much more interesting because, one, you can't control the public easily to tell a story a certain way. So now we can tell stories in a flexible, intuitive manner that mimics the LCS, or the larger consciousness system, as someone like Tom Campbell would explain. And he's worth looking into, by the way. If you don't know who he is, definitely check him out. Okay, so this is a header. You take objects or stuff like this, the tripwire will transfer, including comments, things like this. So there's a lot of portability I've tried to build into this, but the idea is that if the story is big enough and has a lot of information, and then you get, say somebody off-world was to look at this and think, well, there's a header and it's a certain amount of information. Oh, look, there's a repeatable pattern, or even if they didn't know what R was, you get to see that, oh, they're related, they link. So, someone could write a front end to this and figure it out without having to be told how any of this works. So it'll be a fairly good-sized story when the demo's eventually ready. It's going to have to be. And the thing missing, the other data too, is the tripwires don't have entity links yet, but they jump from room to room, and some of the other test files actually jump from map to map, quite literally story to story. You go from file to file without any issue. So that's a part of the fun of this little storytelling. It's all part of the fun. So we load up a story and we'll just walk through it just to give you an idea how it feels. Okay, so this isn't complete, it's a little buggy, and that's just how it is for now. So as you can see, we can kind of go walk on through it, no big issue. In fact, if we look at the tripwire quickly, because you didn't probably see it too easily with the flat file, we take a look at the tripwires with the menu option here. We can see there's more than one way to push this button. We can just say button, on button, push button. We can say push on button, and push on button will actually translate to that. So you can add as many options as you think might be needed. In fact, you can add custom commands to this, and it will actually include it in your command option. If you want to make your own custom commands, it'll accept that. And so you can do some pretty abstract stuff. But then again, anybody who's been out of body, and that's what I mean by intuitive. If you can't tell a so-called out of body, as I hate the term sucks. I mean, it's very 1800s. Let's face it, it's out of date. So I mean, it has to be that flexible and intuitive to be able to really work the story over, and it should be that way at some point, right? Now, see, we've put the player in kind of a blind alley. You can't go backwards on purpose. We've deleted those links so that you're made to move forward. There's nothing else to do other than look at the brown car, and that opens another opportunity. In fact, the the purple portal is actually the punchline here. It wasn't in the original happening, the event. Didn't have a purple portal, but it's kind of a symbolic representation of, you can get the player used to, say, maybe you use it in all your stories, and they know that, oh, when you see the purple portal, that's an ending, right? Until you have to tell a story that maybe is interactive with the LCS, it really does have a purple portal. Well, now you're in a pickle because you can't use it symbolically, because it actually is a part of the story, you see. So I wouldn't use something that actually happens, because then it'll confuse people eventually. So it needs to be flexible, and we'll see how pans out. Okay, this is where the second story begins. We're in the house, but we're not allowed to go back in. We're in a cloned room, R21. Notice when you go south, you do not enter 21, you actually enter 13. So you can leave this cloned room, which is it's a different beginning, to show you how this story begins. We're not going to explore the house right now. We're going to go back to the intersection where there's a problem. Whoops. Yeah. Push the button again, we get to another situation. And for some reason I think it skipped us. Yeah, the story isn't stitched together absolutely perfect yet. I haven't gone over it with a fine-tooth comb. But anyways, so if you're trying to read the story to see if it's consistent, I have a suspicion we just lost a chunk. Whoops. There's a difference between purple portal and portal. In fact, all the colors separate the objects. So every object is different that way. It's coded ANSI. In fact, if anybody knows how to add orange, ANSI orange too, because it's not the original part of the ANSI codes. But I have seen orange in the terminal before, and I'd really like to know how they added orange. That would be good to know. So anyways, oh yeah, here we go. We're waking up in bed. Okay, definitely on this. The second story's done. We can go, this is an easy way to say, go into the bathroom. There's nothing in here. But if we go south, 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 it really just is a clever way of saying, pick the second exit. But since I'm in build mode, I could technically just type in the R number and we can go anywhere we want. So let's take the build mode off. It's a little dicey. We don't want to be modifying the map on the fly. And let's just go straight downstairs and we'll leave the house. Apparently an hour and a half has passed. So out the door we go. And back down the road to the intersection. That's so much trouble around here. We push the button. The story continues. And that's right too. The last part in the file where there is this, yeah, here's where we're at. We're in this room. And this is meant to simulate a carriage return. I was just working on that this morning, but it's not implemented yet, but the data is there. So we cannot get to the last room unless we cheat with build mode, because this is how you jump around when you slice off connections and add connections. In fact, we've got a little option here called Rio. And basically it shows me the room input outputs and gives me a hint of, because it's easy to forget where you've added a cloned room and it's isolated and you don't stumble upon it. So you kind of got to draw these things out and map it out for yourself and make sense of it, right? And so yeah, and some of these test files actually, like the library, instantly will jump you here and it bumps around. There's some Earthship material in here that's kind of fun. Actually, let's just see. We got just a little bit of time for that. You can actually say take yellow banana, and it knows the difference between banana and bananas. And it should also be the same for blueberries. Oops, I thought I fixed that code already. Maybe I missed out on that one. It's meant to be able to say, hey, if we want to take a berry, it turns off the IES and adds a Y. It's meant to be doing these things. But so yeah, it's a little buggy still, but this gives a pretty quick hint of things. You can Q to quit without saving. Q will save. And there's lots to show, but we just don't have time. So we'll leave it at this for now. This would be basically flushing the hero's journey down the toilet and going straight into let's explore the larger consciousness system, because it's a hell of a lot more interesting. Thanks.